What is up, cool cats of the interwebs? It is your girl Haley back at you again with your lovely pre-review crew. This month we are going to jump all the way back to April, talk about some games that we missed there, talk about May, and May was a big month because we had a lovely lady bless our presents. More about that later. And then we're going to hop into June. Not many games coming out in June, but we do have some for anybody who has some kids. So we'll get into that a little later on. But before we do, let me introduce my cool cats that I, always have. Same old. Maybe eventually we'll get a guest. You never know. But until then, you're stuck with your normal trio. We have Mike.
What's up?
And then we have Brennan.
Hello.
So, as I said, we are going to hop all the way back to April and talk about Pokemon Snap and Returnal. We didn't get to talk about those games in our April podcast because at the time of recording, they were not out yet, so we were not able to look at the open critic reviews. So now that we are able to, let me run you through Pokemon Snap. It is a single-player, first-person simulation. Its developer is Bandai Namco and is published by Nintendo. It is on the Nintendo Switch, of course. It came out on April 30th, and it has a top critic average of 80, with 76% of critics recommending. And I feel like that's a little low, but knowing what the game is, I also feel like that's probably on par.
Yeah, I got Pokemon Snap, and I'm just gonna say it's very basic. You go through an environment and you take pictures. That's
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's probably gonna, and it was going to land in the whole. If you played it as a kid, you probably like it, but you played it as a kid. Whereas I feel like this new one again is kind of probably for kids. So like, I don't know. I read a lot of the same kind of complaints where people are just like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over. But it's like, yeah, that's kind of what the original was. And when you're a kid, your patience is a bit limited, so you could just do that shit forever. But as an adult, yeah, I feel like it gets a bit, I don't want to say grindy, but I still think it was cool that they were actually just able to pull something like this off. And like even just the way it looks, I don't know. And again, I feel like a game based off photography, they probably put a lot of effort into how it physically looks. And I mean, just based off of that alone, I think it's wonderful. But yeah, I mean, I can see where people were like, I don't want to say you either loved it or hated it, because it's not like people hated it, but it was either just like you were transplanted back to a time where you were a kid, and that's all it was supposed to do. So I think it was fairly successful in that regard, at least.
Is it worth the full $60?
As much fun as I had with it, and there is a lot of content because there's a lot of different places to go and take pictures at, and a lot of Pokemon. Plus, you can interact with them. You can actually throw stuff at them. Kind of messed up, but I don't know if it was worth the full 60. Because it does get grindy because you can level up each habitat, and with each level the habitat changes a little bit, but you have to sit there and do the level over and over again, taking pictures in order to level it up. And after unlocking every area, I was just kind of like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. So if it was a $40 game, I could understand it being more justified, but as a $60 game, I don't think it's actually worth it.
Brennan, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with Mike. Not having played it, of course, but yeah, I mean, if I don't know, as just a bystander, I can kind of see where that's going. Like, I feel like a lot of games run into that problem nowadays. Just very generally, but specifically with Pokemon, like, yeah, I could see it definitely probably selling a bit better if it was half the price and or $40 or something. Just because based off of the nature of it, yeah, you are very simply doing the same thing. It's not like other gameplay loops where there is some intricacy in it. It's like, no, you just take photos of Pokemon and that's it. You're literally on like a railroad section. It's not like you can explore the map, right? You're just placed on a track and you go. Um, so yeah, I think a lower price point would probably be more appealing. I would certainly have thought about it more if it were cheaper, but yeah, the $60 price tag is kind of overwhelming.
I feel like if you could actually get out and explore and not be so confined to just like the track, I feel like that would make it a lot more interesting. But again, like this is based off the old game. So I can understand like why they wouldn't implement something like that. But just taking pictures repeatedly, I don't know. I feel like that would definitely get boring after a while. I mean, personally, there was a couple people who picked this up that I saw on like my Facebook, and somebody was super excited because they played the old one and they brought back a character from the old game into the new game. So like they were super excited about that, and I was like, I'm so excited to see that people are excited about this, but this game does not excite me in the least. If I want to go take pictures of Pokemon, I'll just go on Google.
Well, that was the
It's
reason I got it was because I did play the original as a kid. I beat the original, so that's why to me this was like, okay, I want to play this again because this is a big part of my childhood. I love the first game, but like Brennan said, you grow up, things change, your perspective changes, and so what was once great and nostalgic for you can kind of have a different opinion now because that was 20 years ago. A lot of shit's happened to me since 20 years ago to change my opinion of video games from back then.
Yeah, very well said. And like, yes, it's specifically Haley, to your point. It's like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's very, in my opinion, nostalgia leaning because most people nowadays wouldn't really know about Pokemon Snap unless they'd played it on the Nintendo 64 20 years ago. Um, so yeah, but even then, like, I don't want to make it seem like we're bashing this game because I don't know, and this is something that we'll bring up in a bit with one of the games that we're talking about. But I don't know. I feel like where this game shines the most is someone that has played it as a kid, right, and like they know about it and they know what it is, and they want to share that. That's where I think some of the power of nostalgia maybe really comes from. It's like, sure, you feel nostalgic when you play some old game or whatever, but maybe the real point of nostalgia is to take yourself back to that moment, but then also pass that moment on for someone else to also experience. So, where I'm going with this is maybe this isn't a great game to play as an adult. Obviously, I mean, it's a Pokemon game about taking photographs. It's not even, the mainline series, which is again kind of for kids, but besides the point, this would be a good game to sit down with your kid and be like, "Hey, let's play Pokemon." And it's easy. It's easy for them. And again, you might not be able to sit through it forever and ever, but your little kid who is probably just introduced to Pokemon, they will. So that's, I guess, ultimately where I land on this. It's like, while this isn't really my thing, I'm glad it exists because it gives other little kids the same experience that I had 20 years ago. Does that make sense?
Makes
Yes.
sense to me.
I know that was like really
Big
long-winded
yes.
and stuff, but I don't know.
I mean, I feel like to sum it up, it's you can look at it either as a cash grab because it's a Nintendo, or B, it's a great way to introduce your kids to Pokemon without it being overly complicated.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. Pretty much, yeah, yeah. And that's where I feel like the success of this game really comes from. It's from a very personal, nostalgic memory that I just want to pass on to someone else. Not even something to experience myself. I've already done it, but I would love to, I don't know, if hypothetically I have a kid in the next 5 years and I still have a Switch lying around. Here you go, Junior. play this Pokemon game.
I
Take some
don't.
photos.
No, we don't want a Brennan Jr. So we
Yeah.
are going to, but keeping on the topic of nostalgia and remembering the good old days and maybe some not good times, we're going to talk about Returnal. It's a single player, third person shooter psychological horror game developed by House Marquee and published by Sony. It was exclusive to the PS5, came out the same day as Pokemon on April 30th. It's sitting at a top critic average of 86, with 89% of critics recommending. Now, let me start this off by saying, again, I don't play a lot of games, but I watch a lot of games played. I watched the Rad Brad play this. Shout out to him because I always watch him. And it was interesting. He died a lot, but he also made it through pretty fast. Yeah, it didn't really seem like he struggled at all, but I thought the story just didn't make any goddamn sense.
I haven't I saw a bit when this was like released and it was kind of hyped up for that week. I saw a bit and like the one complaint that I remember the most is people were complaining that like they couldn't save in between runs. Like someone would be on like a 3-hour run and they wouldn't be able to save. And so like their run would just be destroyed if they quit. So I was like, all right, that's kind of annoying. I can kind of understand that, especially if you're doing like a 4-hour uh roguelike run. My goodness, I would want that completed. Oh boy. It looked really, really good. I mean, like we've been saying that since we were covering it, but like I don't know, it just looked like so much fun, and it looked like a lot of people were, I don't know, just going crazy off the walls with the combat, and it's very flashy too. And I don't know, we were also kind of concerned of like how well is a roguelike going to work in a AAA sphere. And surprisingly, it ended up being a lot better than I thought it was. I mean, like I didn't think that it was gonna be, like a top critic average of like a 60 or something. But I don't know, it was definitely higher rated than I personally thought it was just going to be, just because of the nature of what it is. Um, and you still even have people saying like, Game Central said what should have been a hodgepodge of other people's ideas made worse by frustratingly high difficulty is in reality one of the most cleverly designed video games of recent years, with superb action and endless replayability. Like people are giving it the shit. They're saying it's too hard, you can't save, blah blah blah, but they're still playing the shit out of it. I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't really expecting that, to be honest.
I think, like, when Brad was playing, the one thing that he was worried about was, is my power going to go out? And I think at one point it did. It was either, I think it did. But the whole entire time he's like, I'm afraid my power's going to go out. I'm afraid my power's going to go out. I'm going to lose my run. And I'm like, that's sort of shit. Like, let people save at least somewhere so that they can get back, or make it a little shorter to get back to. Because you can fast travel in the game. So why can't you? I don't.
Feel like it would just be a really, really simple like save on close.
Yeah.
You close the game and it just saves. That way, the next time you boot it up, it's there and you can just keep going. But no like actual saving within your
Mm-hmm.
roguelike. I mean, that is, yeah, and that's probably what they were skirting around. They were like, we just don't want to work with saves at all, as to avoid
And I get
cheating
that.
or whatever.
Like, I get wanting to have a game that's different. Have it have a high difficulty and limited saves, because that makes the player actually strategize and think, well, I'm so far, what do I do? And a lot of people that I saw were like, well, I have to put my PlayStation into rest mode. I can't even do that with my PS5. My PS5 crashes when I put it into rest mode, which is, I'm pretty sure, a known issue with some PlayStations. So it's like, well, what about the people that have that issue? So then I just have to keep my PlayStation on forever, or dedicate my life to playing this game in a single run.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, but the thing though is, well, I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this because it's one of those things where it's like a roguelike, a roguelike's good because when you die, even if it's after a ridiculously long run. Even if you die, the gameplay, the game itself, the combat, and everything should be so fluid that it almost doesn't matter. Like when I was playing Dead Cells, every time I finished a run by dying, or Hades or something, my first thought was, okay, I'm going again. And that's kind of how you know that you've made it, right? Like that's people keep playing your game, and that's good. Um, but I almost I can't even really make that argument when your runs are 3, 4, 5, however long hours, because while the combat and everything might be great, it's like that doesn't give you 3 hours of your fucking life back, right? Like I don't know. I feel like I'm harping too much on like the time and not so much the game itself because it looks incredibly fun. Like I want to say that, oh no, but it's fine. Even if you die after a 3 hour run, it's still a fun game, blah blah blah. I mean, I can't say that because I don't have my hands on a controller with it, but that's what I want to say, and that's what I'm getting from all of these reviews. People are being quick to call out like, "Hey, this is a new thing and it does have a little bit of problems, but my god, is it refreshing." Which again, yeah, I was not really expecting a AAA roguelike to perform so well, but maybe it's also because the PlayStation doesn't have any other games, so people have to buy this one. Who
Let's
knows?
let's get into that a little bit later because god damn it, Sony, what are you doing? But Mike, do you have any comments on Returnal?
I mean, with this one, it's just you got to take your good with your bad at the end of the day. So that's all I got to say.
Again, I didn't understand the story. Like, I sort of understood it, but I didn't understand it because I still don't understand uh how she really got there and what the whole purpose was. But if I watch another YouTube video explaining it, I'll probably understand it. But I thought it was really good. It looked really cool. I think that this game should have launched with the PS5. I think it would have been a great title, a great launch title with the console. So I'm kind of bummed that it came out so late. But getting back to what Brennan said, like, there aren't a lot of PS5 games right now. I was on the PS5 store and it was like sale. And I was like, oh, great. And then I realized that all the games that I wanted to play, I already had. So, Sony, listen, I love you. I will give you all my money. Like, day one bought a PS5. You're welcome. Please launch some other games. Because what is this shit? Like, we're still dealing with COVID, and I'm trying to just sit in my room and play some games, yet you're not putting anything out. What? Makes no sense.
We'll talk about a game later that you can definitely play on your PS5.
Ah. Talking about games that came out for the PS5 and technically all consoles and last gen, let's flip it over to last month, May. We're going to talk about Resident Evil Village first off, which I know everyone is so excited to hear about. Here's some background details. It's single player first person survival horror. It's developed and published by Capcom. It came out, like I said, on all consoles besides Nintendo Switch, so PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. It released May 7th, and it has a top critic average of 84 with 92% of critics recommending. What are your thoughts? Did you play it?
Yeah, I got this day one, and I know this is early, but this is like gonna be one of my contenders for game of the year. This game is
Ooh.
amazing. I've been playing Resident Evil since it first came out 25 years ago. Yes, I am that old. And so, playing this, it was like, there's little bits of survival horror with Resident Evil, like, just Resident Evil, but it just felt I'm trying to think of the words. It just felt so good. Like I'll be as bold as to say it's probably one of the greatest Resident Evil titles to like ever come out. Um, I can be really critical with my games, but this one was just blew me away.
So I mean, I feel like I have to ask this just because, especially, I mean, it popped up a lot in the reviews. But
Yes,
like
Timothy's boobs are big.
well, okay, fair, yeah. She's got a dumpster. How does it stack up to Biohazard? Because that's what I was seeing a lot in the reviews. A lot of people were comparing it, so I guess I just want your input on that.
feels better than Biohazard. There were some things about Biohazard that kind of irked me. Um, but this game I think was a lot more well developed. This game, like the combat just feels better. Um, I love the villains. The villains are great. Albeit very creepy. And the story just was a lot better in my opinion.
Hmm.
From watching Brad play it, it didn't seem overly hard. Like, Brad never struggled with ammo or weapons or defeating any of the bosses, really. I think my only complaint is I really like the doll maker, and I thought her house was super creepy, and I wish it was just a tad bit longer and a tad bit creepier, because I feel like they had a lot that they could do with her, and they just sort of settled.
Yeah, if I do have one complaint about this game, it is that some areas feel a little rushed. Like like you said, Beneviento's house, the dolls. I'm scared of dolls. So that scene for me was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Because things just freak out during that scene. And I do wish that that was a little bit longer. Because when I play a horror game, this is how I get my adrenaline. I play horror games, I watch horror movies. So, that part really freaked me out and scared me, and it was awesome. But it was really, really quick. And, especially compared to like Demetrius's castle, like that was, I think, the perfect length. And then you get to the doll maker's house and it just passes by in like a snap.
I did think that like everyone's character design was pretty cool though.
Yeah.
The ending spoilers. I'll give you a couple seconds here before we get into some spoilers. So please tune out if you don't want to hear spoilers. Okay. I liked at the end how they said like the father's story is now finished, or it was like something along the lines of that. I was just like, "Oh. Okay. So what are they going to do with the daughter now?" Like,
Yeah,
obviously it's her story next, and she has some super wild crazy superpowers. So what are they going to do with her?
that's kind of the thing, is like, where are they going to go from here?
And I feel like they ended it in a way that gives them a lot of freedom to explore what they do with her. She is still a teen, so I'm very curious to know what sort of situations that they will be getting her into. But I think it's cool. Like like we didn't know that Ethan was dead and literally a blob of mold until the end of the game. Well, you could see him slowly deteriorating. But if you didn't pick up on that early, then you didn't fucking know. And the Duke was pretty badass. Like, he is super cool. And I don't know. This game was cool. It was cool. I got a couple little scares I might have hit once in a while. But it's
It's
pretty cool.
cool. It's cool.
Brennan.
I would really like to possibly, if it's not too long, like sit down and watch someone play this like you would do with the Rad Brad. Just because I have no attachment to Resident Evil, but that being said, I don't know, this just looked really cool. And I'm really not one that's particularly into survival horror stuff, but I don't know, it just looks so damn cool. Like I was watching some people play it and it just very much felt like a movie, a playable movie, and like, but a good kind of playable movie experience. Um, so yeah, I think it looks spectacular, and I'm glad that it's scoring well and people are happy with it. Like, yeah, and yeah, we saw a lot of mommy jokes. We still keep
Lots.
seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see those for the rest of the year.
Some of the
Yeah.
mods, if you look at her, her hat gets
Yeah.
bigger,
some
Yeah.
and
of some of the mods are so funny,
you
dude.
can turn your knife into a fly swatter and slap her ass with it.
Yeah, yeah, that was all I saw. That was the
I love
funniest thing
people.
I've ever seen. It's so good.
Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to
Or
do
I think
it.
like you can turn her into Barney or something. Jesus Lord.
Yeah, you could turn her to Barney. You could put your daughter's face on Chris Redfield's head.
You
Um,
can make
it's
her wear lingerie. That was whoo,
Yeah,
whoo.
I saw that one.
A little steamy, a little spicy.
NSFW.
Oh, and one last thing I want to say. The game isn't too long. Well, two things I want to say. One, the game isn't too long. Matt is playing it. If you don't know Matt, Matt is my boyfriend. He's currently playing it. He's almost to the end. I think he said he's about 12 to 13 hours into it.
I beat
Um,
it in about 10.
yeah. And another thing that I liked about the doll maker's house is that you don't have your weapons. So it truly makes it like a survival horror aspect because you're running around this house with none of your gear trying to
And,
figure out what the fuck's going on.
and that's the appeal of this game is every area has its own distinct feel. Lady Dimitri's castle just feels like old classic, stuck in the police station, stuck in the mansion, Resident Evil. And then you go to the dollhouse and you don't have your items, and it's like, oh shit, because there's stuff chasing you around. You hit the third area and it plays like something from Resident Evil 4. Like it's every area has its own feel, and I think that's what helped me really get through the game is every few hours felt like something fresh was being thrown at me.
Also, it's Resident Evil, so.
Yeah. I mean, if you like Resident Evil 7, you're gonna love this one.
And completely coming from the opposite side of where Resident Evil is, we are going to talk about something that is a little bit more happy and friendly in case there's something I want to say, but I won't say it because it's cringy. But just in case you get too scared playing Resident Evil, you can go play The Wild at Heart. It's an indie single player adventure and strategy game. Its developer is Moonlight Kids, and it's published by Humble Games. It came out on PC and Xbox One. It released on May 20th, so it's a little ways away if you got scared about Resident Evil, but if you're sick and tired of hearing all the mommy jokes, well, here's a game for you. Its top critic average is 75 with 76 or 67, my bad, 67% of critics recommending.
I'm just gonna say, if you like Don't Starve and you like Pikmin, yeah.
Yeah, this like I don't know. I feel like this kind of scored kind of where we were expecting. The two things that are kind of like hit or miss seem to be the combat and the puzzles. Some people say that they really like the puzzles, and I think they're really clever. Other people say that they're very stale and or not entirely consistent, and that also applies to the combat as well. So, yeah, I mean, this on the surface, it's just kind of looked like a cutesy indie try at like a Pikmin, and I mean, I feel like it wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel here. Um, and a lot of people do praise it, for its aesthetic and its charm, which I mean is clear if you just look at a trailer. I mean, it looks like it. I don't know. It looks like a children's book come to life. I have such a soft spot for that. So yeah. Again, not something that I would pick up, but um, I don't know. It seems charming enough for the people that like that sort of puzzle gameplay, I would guess. I don't know. I don't and again, I don't know how much it leans on puzzles because people mention it, but yeah. I don't know. They didn't really expect a whole hell of a lot here to begin with.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this huge, hit that everybody was gonna be praising and saying you need to play. It did look interesting enough for me to, look at it a few times. Watch gameplay and stuff, but it really didn't have that, appeal for me to go out and buy it.
I'd buy it if it goes on sale.
One of those.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that pulls me in is the art style. I think the art style is super
Yeah.
cute. I don't really care about puzzles or the action. A lot of people are praising the story, which is great. So I mean, if the story's there, I can overlook some weird, funky puzzles slash combat or whatever, especially with this art style. So I think for me, this definitely lands where we thought it would, and I'm happy to see that. I sort of wish that they keep this art style, or build upon it for whatever games they come out with next, because I think this art style is super cute, and I might go buy this at full price actually. I don't know. My wallet feels conflicted. It doesn't know how it should feel. But I want it. I definitely want it. Definitely want it.
This
Everybody go
reminded
buy it.
me of this reminded like the art style at least reminded me of some other game, and I just looked into the developer to see maybe if they worked on that one, and they hadn't. And I'm just learning now that I believe I could be wrong about this, but they don't mention any other games that they've worked on. They're only mentioning The Wild at Heart. So this is probably just a very, very small team, and so again, even for that kind of level of, you know, independent development, I think they did a pretty good job. And Humble
Yeah.
Games, a decent publisher too, for that level of independent developing again. So like I don't know. I think it is a win for them. A
I
big
guess
win overall.
I think
And it's
my only
too expensive.
curiosity. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I was supposed to say it's not too expensive if you want to try it.
Wait, how much
Twenty
is
four
it?
ninety nine. 24.99.
Oh, that's not bad. I guess my
Yeah.
only gripe is why Xbox and PC. Like I think this would be a great game to put out on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm,
I mean, we'll see. If it comes out on the Switch, I'll more than likely 100% buy it, but I might buy it for PC because. And it came out on the Xbox One. Not the Xbox Series X, but the Xbox One.
Yeah, I kind of don't understand that reason.
So, again, Brennan said they're an indie developer, so maybe that's what they had their eye on from the get go. And they just
or
don't have the funds to, like, upgrade it to next gen. I don't know.
yeah, it could be like publishing licensing issues. I don't know. There's so much that I feel like that goes into um like, hey, can I put my game on your console? I feel like it's a lot more intricate of a process than anyone would
Yeah.
ever give it credit for. So who's to say with that one?
Well, while we slowly research what it takes to put a game on a console, we are going to roll it over to another delayed game that has happened, I think, twice now. It is
Mm-hmm.
Monster Harvest. We stated that it was delayed last month. It is delayed again. Now it's pushed back all the way to July 8th. We're just gonna talk briefly on this, but it is an indie game, so you have to cut the developers some slack. But at the same exact time, let's not pull a CD Project Red and never release our game and then release it and it just be poop.
It'd be ready by 2024.
Oh God, I hope. And especially with this one, like I don't know how many people are working on this. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's probably a very, very small group of people. And the only reason I say that is just because of I don't know, the scope of Monster Hunter doesn't exactly seem like it's a 30-person indie team. Um, so I want to even just go as far as to assume it's like one or two people, and that's why that they're like able to just be like, okay, well, we'll just release it whenever it's ready because we're the only ones working on it. We don't really have to adhere to any other timeline other than our own. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say about it beyond the fact that it's just delayed. But yeah, probably talk about it in the future, maybe.
I mean, I hope so, just because we heavily compared the art style to Stardew Valley, so I definitely like to see more of that. But at the same exact time, like, if you're going to delay your game, just delay your game. Say to be announced. Like, don't keep pushing it back month by month by month by month. Just delay it and release it when you're ready. Because I feel like pushing it out month by month by month by month just tends to push people away. So, like, And I'm pretty sure
Eh,
I think this is the third delay. Because it was supposed to come out in May. I think it was supposed to come out earlier than May. Maybe.
remember correctly, it's supposed to come out like late last year, then it got delayed somewhere.
Okay, so it was
I
supposed to
don't
come
remember
out.
fully, so
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in May, and then they said June 3rd, and now they're saying not until July. So we'll see. If it ever comes out, I'll be a little surprised. But talk about surprises. Let's talk about the games coming up in June. Okay, so we are going to kick it off with a fun game that has definitely surprised me with its art style because I absolutely love the art style. And I think it's going to be, I think this one might surprise us. But we are talking about Operation Tango. It's a co op espionage adventure, which I think that's super cool. It's developed and published by Clever Plays. It's coming on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PS5, and that releases on June 1st. Let me explore my inner James Bond.
It looks really interesting. It looks, I mean, well, physically, it looks interesting. It looks like this 70s comic book aesthetic. I can't quite put my finger around it, but like, I don't know. I think Archer immediately when I think of Operation Tango, and like, I don't know. Already I'm loving the aesthetic just behind it. But then also watching a bit of the gameplay in the trailer that we passed around, it looked really cool because like you have one person sitting there, doing the spying, and then you also have someone who's also playing with you, but who's on a different device acting as your, guy in the chair, navigating you through the building and like telling you, oh, the guard's gonna come here, all that jazz. And I feel like that's something that every person that's ever watched a spy movie wants to experience. They either A, want to be the guy in the chair, or they want to have someone be their guy in the chair to walk them through it. And for you to be able to just kind of do that in a game, I think is amazing. But then there's the caveat. The caveat is that when I was doing research in this, a lot of people were saying that the game is kind of easy. Apparently, like there's a demo out currently. Um, I believe it's a demo, and I don't know. People are just saying that like once you do the demo once, you kind of know how to do it like the best. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those puzzles where like if you solve it, you know how to solve it forever. So it's like you need different puzzles in a way. So a lot of people are rightfully just kind of waiting and hoping that the main game gives them a bit more of a challenge than what the demo has, which I mean, it, if that would be a real, I guess just a big damper if all of your levels ended up being kind of easy and or easily beatable and then not really much replay. But that being said, though, I still think it looks incredibly unique, and I think that the gameplay experience it's trying to provide is also incredibly unique. There's not many games where, again, I feel like you have that guy in the chair. What I forget what I don't know. There's probably a term for it that I just can't think of. But I always just call it the guy in the chair. That's not the guy in the headset guy. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about though. It looks baller. Okay, I hope it's good. I need a win in my life.
and does this look interesting in that when I was looking around reading about it, you could only help each other through voice. There's no video, which I think
Right?
is
Yeah.
pretty interesting because if this is a '70s spy movie, they're not gonna have a whole bunch of cameras and stuff for you to be looking through. If you're a '70s spy, you're gonna be talking to the guy, your hacker through a headset or something. So I thought that was an interesting feature that they added, and I'm just gonna say I can see this being a friend ender because if one person fucks up in this game,
Yeah. Yeah.
both
Yeah.
players are fucked. I was watching gameplay of this. It's like I saw people getting frustrated with each other because it's like one guy would mess up and then the whole damn thing would just be, screwed.
That's I don't know. I feel like that's such a unique experience that like I don't know because we recently have been having that push of cooperative games. It Takes Two.
Yeah, that just came out.
What was A Way Out? Was That's the one with the two with the co-op game where you're trying to break out of the prison?
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
called A Way Out.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
it.
there's been a push of those recently, and like I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Even if it's not me the one playing the game, because again, I haven't played It Takes Two or A Way Out or anything, but just the fact that they exist just makes me happy. Because again, like I feel like that's just asking for a viral video of two people playing this game and the one person just completely shitting on the other person because they forgot to tell them like, oh hey, a guard's to your left or something, and I don't know. I can just see it being like just a funny reaction between people that I would just want to see. So even not if I'm the one experiencing it. So yeah, Operation Tango looks baller. I hope that this I hope that it lives up to the expectations and not like poorly placed expectations either. Just that, hopefully it's replayable enough and hopefully some of the levels are like actually physically challenging, not something that you could just run through once and go, okay, I solved my Rubik's Cube, you know.
I think it's cool. I just like the idea of two-player co-op games like this because I mean, we are still dealing with COVID, so if you want a fun game to play with some friends, I think this would definitely be it. Again, I really like the art style. I love the art style. I just think it's so futuristic and so fun. Um, I might pick this up in all honesty. I really might.
I would definitely try it.
Yeah,
100% trying it at the very least. It looks really, really, really unique.
yeah, I'm in that camp too. I want to try it.
So, and I just got the title because it takes two to tango. Operation
Hey.
Tango. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. But, so we have a game that you can sit there and play with a friend. But, say you're an adult with kids. Kids. Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Oof. Sorry. Not sorry, it's a joke. We're going to talk about The Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom. It's a single player action RPG. It's developed by Outright Games and published by Stage Clear Studios. That's a name. It's coming out on Switch, PS4, PC, and Xbox One. So, no current gen, I guess. So no PS5, no Xbox One X or Xbox Series X, I should say. My bad. And it's coming out on June 4th. Now this, like I said, this is a kids game. So we are aiming towards all those fellows out there and fellas that have children. This might be an interesting game to sit down and play with your kids.
that's so. Yeah, I mean, at first, when you first, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm gonna explain my whole thought process here. When you first sent us this game, I was like, "Why is you sending us a game for kids? I'm not gonna have anything to talk about it." But then, as soon as you kind of mentioned the idea of like, "Yeah, but think about all the adults that have kids that want to play video games with their kids," and immediately I was like, "Ah, yes, that is a great angle." Because the more I looked at it, the more it was just like, "This is a kid-friendly Diablo. This is awesome. I would totally play this with my kid." Like, it's a it's a kid-friendly Diablo. When I wrote single player before, by the way, that's probably just a typo because reading in they have local co-op, and apparently they'll have online co-op at a later date. Um, so it is very, very couch co-op friendly with you and your kid. It can be played single player, obviously, but it's also multiplayer. But yeah, it honestly just looks like Diablo with the top down, three-quarter view, and you and your buddies just go around, killing zombies, acquiring schematics for quote weapons, armor, and more collectibles. There's different characters, each tied to a different class. Your typical melee warrior, your ranged warrior, your tank jock guy. They all have perks, special powers, and this pretty much just sounds like a very kid-friendly version of Diablo, and something that's, probably a bit more sophisticated than something like Minecraft Dungeons. Um, the other thing too is that it's based off of allegedly a very popular and successful book series, which I did not know. So again, to me, that's like a walk in the park. It's like, A, you can if your kid, if your kid doesn't know about the book series, boom, you can introduce them to a book series while also playing a video game with them. But it's also like, I don't know, you can. I've always liked Diablo, and I would like to pass things on to my kids. And there's no way in hell, literally, because that's what the game is all about, that I would sit my kid down and throw on Diablo 2 and be like, yeah, play this. This is some good shit. You need to play this. No, that would never fly. I just doxed myself. Fuck. Cut that out in post. Mrs. Brennan, that ain't gonna fly with her. So, but the Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom, the longest title, by the way, totally would fly. Totally would fly, and it would pretty much serve the same kind of process of like, hey, I want to introduce you to action RPGs. Like, this is a really fun way to play games, you know. So yeah, well, at first I was like, eh. The more I looked into it, the more I was like, I want a kid just so I can play this game with them, right? Like just so I can play Diablo for kids with them. Because this honestly, it looks like a fun rip-off of Diablo. Not a rip-off, but it looks like it channels it.
A kid-friendly
Obviously.
version.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to say that it's like, it's gonna be as good as Diablo 4. No, but it's a cool substitute, and I feel like that alone is worth its merit of like they were able to take this, and again, some similar to Minecraft Dungeons, they were taking this typically, mature genre, right? Like there's Diablo was really the forefront of ARPGs, especially in my head. So to kind of simplify that and to de-ageify it for kids, I think that's wonderful. I don't think everyone and their mother's going to play it, but I think that this is, on paper, it seems like a great game that you would play for your kid because while it is simplistic and stuff, it still has that charm of like, oh yeah, this is still kicking in some Diablo stuff. Like, ooh, I got a new baseball bat. I'm gonna beat zombies a little faster with this. Like, it's going to hit the same dopamine centers, right? Like, at least that's what I'm hoping for, so that you as an adult can still get some enjoyment out of it while your kid's just bawling. So A plus. I think this is really cool.
What about you, Mike?
Sorry, I keep talking a lot. I'm so sorry.
It's
You're good, brother.
okay.
You're good. Um, I don't know if anybody's ever played the old Super Nintendo game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, because that's what this looked like to me the first time I looked at it. Which is a good thing. I love that game. I remember me and my friends playing the hell of that game, back in the, what was it, Super Nintendo era.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've just never played it, but yeah.
Yeah. But I agree with Brandon. Like this is and even if you're not playing with your kids, if you want something that's an action RPG that's not serious, you want something that's a little chill just to kick back with. This is definitely one of those kinds of games. It just looks it. At the end of the day, it just looks fun. It has like this nice little like Fortnite. Fortnite. The aesthetics are really kid friendly and they're really simple and it's just fun. So, I feel that that's going to be what this game kind of is. It's just, nice little fun, run around your town, beating the crap out of monsters and, having a good time.
Yes, exactly. Mindless, dumb fun. And that's all it needs to be. And I feel like that's all it's trying to be too. It's not
Yeah.
trying to be anything more than it is. It knows it's a kid. It knows it's a kid's game. And I also tried to look up the devs really quickly, and it seemed like I obviously I wasn't really familiar with a lot of the games that they put out because it's a lot of like kid related licensed stuff, but they have a track record of it. It's not like this was their first game, so I feel like it's in decent hands. It should, do exactly what it's setting out to do.
Yeah, like one of the reasons why I wanted to mention this game was we don't we talk about a lot of serious games on our channel, so I wanted a game that we could uh tell people who have families or kids about, and even people who maybe just want like a silly fun game to play. They don't want anything serious like Diablo. Well, here's a similar game that's just about kids trying to stop zombies and about a staff of doom and trying to stop some crazy witch lady. Here you go. And I feel like sometimes you just need games like that. Like, you need games that aren't serious that you can sit there and kick back and laugh at. And also, it's about to be summer. So, a lot of kids are going to be ending the school year pretty soon. And maybe those people with parents want to play games with their kids because they have more time on their hands. So, here's a game that is a little bit complex, but not so much that your kid isn't going to understand how to play it. So I think this game is pretty cool. I'm not going to play it personally, but I hope that somebody listening plays it with their kid and lets us know how it went.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to my little cousins and see, because I have a lot of little cousins that are under the age of like 15. So, they're always looking for games to play, and they're always looking for people to play with. So, this is one
Aw,
of those games where I could just be like, "Hey, you've been wanting to play video games with me for a while now. There you go, something we can play together."
let me get you into this so I can immediately have you play more complex games as soon as we finish.
Basically.
So last but not least for our podcast, wrapping up our list of games that we are talking about for the month of June is Guilty Gear Strive. It's a multiplayer 2D fighting game. It's developed and published by Arc System Works. It's coming out on PC, PS4, and PS5, and its release date is June 11th.
All right, time for me to bust a nut right here.
I was waiting for you too.
Yeah, this is like I was praising Resident Evil Village earlier. This game for me though is like one of the ones this year that I am most excited for, especially because they've delayed it a few times. Um, so this is like I already got the deluxe edition pre-ordered. I've been playing Xrd Rev 2 just to get ready for this. And yeah, this is like one of the biggest ones because Guilty Gear is one of those cult series in that the only people who really know what Guilty Gear is are fighting game fans. But to me, it's one of the greatest fighting game series to ever come out. It's up there with Tekken, with Soul Calibur, Mortal Kombat. If anything, I think it's better than those games. And this is just one of those ones where if you're waiting for a fighting game, if you're looking for a new fighting game, because games like Tekken 7 and Dragon Ball Fighters are getting kind of old, this is definitely the game for you to pick up. Especially if you got that new PS5, this game looks beautiful on the PS5.
Looks baller. I don't
Yeah.
really I don't really know much about Guilty Gear. I know Arc System Works, and I know that they make baller looking and baller playing fighting games. So I'm just gonna go ahead and agree with everything you've said because that's all I keep reading from other people too that are fans. Like, I it it's Arc System Works. It's like it's one of those things where like you almost kind of just know what you're setting yourself up for. It's just another super high paced, quality looking game. They always tend to make such great looking games. I don't know how they do the comic book, that weird comic book I mean they I know that they like cut the frames um they cut the frames to make it seem like it's comic booky, like kind of what they did with Spider-Man Miles Morales. You like mess with the frame rate to make it seem a bit more punchier, and like I don't know, I can't wrap my head around how they make it look so good every time, but my goodness, it just looks like a comic book coming to life. I don't even want to play the game again. I just want to watch people play it because that's how good it looks. I
I
can't get over that. I can't. I feel the same way about Fighters. Dragon Ball Z Fighters. I thought it looked super good. It looked better than the anime, in my opinion. Like I don't even know how it's possible.
That was Arc System as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's why I bring it up because it's like they're just so good at what they do. Like I can't see them making a bad experience on purpose. You know what I mean? Like,
And the beta for this was great.
yeah,
You
that
know,
was the other thing
they're
I was
interesting.
reading
They're
on.
introducing the rollback net code, which just felt awesome. They the roster compared to like Xrd, the starting roster is a little small, but they already announced that there's more characters coming.
Mm.
Yeah, they have a season pass listed on their site.
Yeah, every game now already has a season pass before it even starts development.
Yeah,
Um,
especially fighting games too. I feel
yeah,
like.
yeah, but just playing this during the beta, and just it was awesome. They're bringing back older characters. There's a couple new characters that just feel great. It looks good. They added some new mechanics, so even for people like me who've played the older games, there's some new stuff in there to really get into and try out.
And I'm not gonna lie, I really like this art style. And I was like, huh, like I'm not into fighters, but maybe this is something I would pick up. And if you're like me, I know absolutely nothing about Guilty Gear, and they have you covered. So if you go on the Guilty Gear, guiltygear.com, you can go under web comics and stories, and it runs you through a list of web comics that they have, and then a list of videos to watch, cinematic videos to watch on their YouTube channel. And then that will put you right in line where you need to be to pick up Guilty Gear Strive and not be confused as to where the story is. So
Yeah,
I think
especially
that's really fucking
considering
cool.
especially because the story has been going on for like 20 years since the series was introduced. To be quite honest, I don't know what the hell's going on. I just like playing this game because it's really, really fun.
Yeah, I feel like most people, whenever they pick up a fighting game, just do not give a shit about the story. I've played so many Mortal Kombat games and I can't tell you what happens in any of them. I know people that know what happens in the Mortal Kombat games, but I think that they're crazy people because why would you ever really care about what's going on in a fighting game? That's just me personally. I don't really play fighting games, so my opinion is worth nothing, but yeah, who's playing it for the story? My God, what do you just? It's all about combos, punching people. It's like playing Smash Bros for the story. What? Why? Okay, well, all right. Some space emissary was pretty good. I take that back. Okay, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
It's
Okay.
like watching an
Okay.
action movie for the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Mortal Kombat for the story.
Oh God, just watch the
It was a
movie.
Brendan,
joke. I saw the movie. It wasn't very good.
I
Yeah,
was
that
gonna
was
say
also.
Brendan. She's one of the crazy people that knows what Mortal Kombat's about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, Haley's just like, oh, by the way, Scorpion and Sub Zero, actually, in the third game, like, oh god, I don't care.
I feel very called out. So we are going to wrap this up before it gets any deeper. Let's talk about our final thoughts about the games that we spoke about today.
I don't have any final thoughts about
I know you
games that
don't.
we spoke about today. Yeah.
Save it for a second.
Okay.
Mike, please go.
Pick up Guilty Gear Strive on PC, and I will see you online.
You heard that here. Mike's going to insert his information down below. So find him on Steam. If you beat him, please let us know in the comments. We might do a random polling and give you like $2 to get yourself a candy bar for beating Mike. Um, my final thoughts: play some games, have some fun. Don't waste your money this summer. Get out and do something with some friends if you have some, and drool over some Resident Evil.
Mama
And
Nike.
exactly. And then we're gonna kick it over to Brennan because I know he has lots to say.
Well, just really quick, final thoughts regarding or the games that we talked about. I feel like COVID happened, and we've probably been playing a lot of games just to ourselves, with amongst ourselves. And like, I don't know, this episode, I feel like we talked about a lot of upcoming games that were co op friendly. And it's just, I don't know, my final thought is maybe try finding, and I'm going to take my own advice, is find someone to play a game with in the next couple weeks. I don't know, share the love, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Share the nostalgia. Um, but main thing that I really want to say is I don't know how I feel about Biomutant. I picked up Biomutant, and I don't know how I feel about it at all. Like, it's like the most solidly mediocre, okay game I've ever played, but I can't stop playing it for some reason. I feel like I'm going through the same cyberpunk, No Man's Sky thing where it's like this indie team was picked up by a bigger publisher. The bigger publisher set the price at $60. The game comes out and everyone's like, this game is not worth $60, and then review bomb it because it's $60, and it's like, fuck, man, I don't know. I don't really even know where I was going with any of this. All I'm saying is that I'm currently dealing with the whole Biomutant news cycle, and I don't know what to make of any of it. All I can say is just do your homework, do your research, and also come to your own conclusions. Like, don't just read one bad review and then just write something off entirely. Because those 20 people that made Biomutant put a lot of heart and soul into very certain parts of their game. And I don't think that, the floaty combat should take away anything that they've made artistically, within the world, within the aesthetic. There's a lot of things that they can change, but I don't know. I guess if I just want to say something if I can just talk to devs in general, just like morph them into one person, just take them by the shoulders and just go, just be more confident in your game, okay? Just please be more confident in us and in yourselves, and maybe it'll be better. I don't know. Play Biomutant, don't play Biomutant, whatever. Just don't read one review and then just shit all over it for fun. Because I've been seeing a lot of that on the internet recently, and it's like, yes, it's fun to just hop on the bandwagon of hate, but like, these are real people with real children and real aspirations. So like, I don't know. I just hate seeing people get shit on when they didn't make something perfect. They made something good, but they didn't make something perfect, and that angers a lot of people. Yes, it shouldn't be $60, but at the same time, it's a game made by 20 people, dog. That doesn't happen overnight. Like,
Long story short, don't be a dick on the interwebs.
yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Like, you got to think about the people behind the video game, and it's like we pull information from multiple sources so that we're not just pulling from one person and getting a one-sided review. And I think a lot more people, and we've talked about this previously in other podcasts, like, you really need to make sure that you're going out and looking at multiple sources for yourself and not just relying on one place or one person for your news and information. So just long story short, do better. Internet, just do better.
Do better. And also, to the consumer, another little tidbit is like, maybe don't do what I did and go, I'm really excited for this game, I'm not gonna watch as much gameplay so I can get it when it comes in, because I feel like that's probably asking for a new disaster when it comes to new IPs. Completely new IPs, you never really know what you're getting. We're so used to sequels and franchises that are going on that we kind of have to remember, like, hey, when it's a new IP, it could very well be shit, and you could very well be out $60 6 months before the game even came out. You just don't know. So do your homework, don't be an asshole, keep playing video games.
You heard it here first, folks. So we are going to wrap up June's episode of the pre-review crew. Next month we will have a special guest mixing it up, and we will be talking about E3. So we hope to see you next month, and I hope you have a great day, afternoon, night, wherever you are. See you next time.
Later.